The genus Armadillidium is a fascinating assemblage of small terrestrial isopods, or as we know them, pillbugs, woodlouse, roly-polies, doesn't matter. They're all equally fascinating, and they're found the world over. They make wonderful and unique pets. But today, I think we're going to talk about one particular Armadillidium. Armadillidium Klugii, or more commonly known as the Clown Isopod.
Send in the clowns!
Armadillidium Klugii is without question one of the most absolutely vibrant and colorful isopods and a favorite amongst hobbyists the world over. Its native range lies along the coastline of the Adriatic Sea from Croatia to Montenegro. Armadillidium Klugii has a fairly extensive range, and many variants are found. The one in the hobby that is most commonly referred to as the true Clown Isopod is the one that hails from the region of Montenegro. And it's very characterized by its coloration. Slightly different from some of the other variants, this one has the different rows of colored spots. Unlike the other Armadillidium Klugii that I also maintain, known as Dubrovnik, which has 3 rows of white spots, the true Clown, Montenegro, the center row of spots is usually bright yellow. As you can see, they're very striking. It is questioned that there's a gentleman known as Levi Herbert, who in 1965 wrote a very detailed report as a proposal to the reason for the coloration of Armadillidium Klugii. And the paper was called An Unusual Case of Mimicry. And the animal in question it's mimicking is Latrodectus tridsimgutatus. And that is the Mediterranean black widow spider. So, if I were a small little terrestrial isopod and I could mimic a truly dangerous predator such as that, it's probably a good gig to have. So it does make a bit of sense. Like most members of the genre Armadillidium, Armadillidium Klugii is a small to medium terrestrial isopod, and on average they'll reach roughly about ½ inch in size, maybe slightly larger. They're an ideal starter isopod. They're easy to care for. This species in the wild would generally be found in leaf litter or under rocks or fallen logs, so their care in captivity should be similar to that. We keep them, or I keep them, in small sterilite tubs. Good ventilation. This species can also be kept a little bit drier than most Armadillidium species, but honestly I've not had any issues, and as you can see my population has exploded. Unlike, say, some of the members of the genus Porcilio, I find these ones to be very, very resilient and tolerant whether or not I'm heavily handed with the water or not. I do set up their container to have a wet side and a dry side. A lot of leaf litter. I do put calcium carbonate within the substrate. As you've seen, I also offer cuttle bones. And I also use, as we have a farm and we have lots of chickens, we have a lot of eggshells. So I crush up eggshells and add them to the substrates of all my animals as well.
Ho ho!
Whoa, now we gotta pause the video for a second. I gotta do some shout outs here. My dear friend Wally Kern over at Supreme Gecko. This guy's an absolute legend. I'm sure if you guys are watching a video by me on isopods, you probably found me by being a sub over at Wally's channel at Supreme Gecko. We'll put the link down below in the description. But Wally came out with a super slick shirt, the Podfather. So here it is here. I had to go and order one of that. And true to form, the legend sent me a product to evaluate. So Wally sent me some Supreme all-natural isopod chow. I'm super stoked to give this a try, but that's going to be a different video. The ingredient panel reads really, really well. So we're going to delve deep into this one for a separate video. We're going to feed it because we've got 4 different genera that we can try out here. We got Porcilios, Cubaris, we got Armadillidiums, we got all sorts of stuff. So we can really put this through the paces. So I'm pretty stoked. So thank you again, my good friend Wally. Again, go and check him out. Now back to the video.
Here's an example of how I maintain them in their environments. I use the large Sterilite tubs, excellent ventilation. Now, isopods being crustaceans, finding that happy balance between ventilation and humidity control is absolutely crucial to their success. So I strive for between 60 and 75% humidity, with a drier area towards the front and the wetter area towards the back. I maintain pretty much all my cultures at room temperature. Some of my, say, Cubaris species that like it slightly warmer, I will put them up towards the top of the shelf where the warmth might be a little bit more collective, but I maintain them all at room temperature. An ideal temperature range of 19 to 25 degrees Celsius, or for my American friends, 66 to 77 degrees Fahrenheit. Their diet consists primarily of decaying wood matter, leaf litter, lichens, and a small amount of protein. This makes them an excellent and albeit colorful candidate for a bioactive vivarium cleanup crew. So for my protein sources, I will often use things such as fish flakes, little dried minnows, things that I have on hand for a lot of my other species that are more protein dependent. But now we're also going to give a good try to that new isopod chow we got from Wally over at Supreme Gecko. Now, one other thing of note, I do my maintenance on all my isopods generally once a week on Saturday mornings. And if I open up a culture and I notice that a lot of the isopods tend to have migrated towards where the wet areas with the sphagnum moss, that is a good indication that you need to increase the humidity slightly in that environment, and then they'll probably retreat away from the wet area and more explore their entire environment. Armadillidium Klugii was described back in 1833 by Brandt, and most of the Armadillidium species we find today in the hobby, and the ones we may have not have found that still may be described, they were all described primarily in that time frame. So I believe this genera is going to get a lot of work done when somebody wants to take the initiative and start tackling the isopods. I'm so happy to say that the isopod hobby is thriving. It's growing with all these new additions of all these fancy new species. But Armadillidium Klugii, the Clown Isopod, will always be a perennial favorite. So thank you kindly, my friends, for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please consider liking it, leaving me a comment, sharing it. I appreciate everything you do for me. Till next time, take care.